because the term they used in the virtual machine thing was a hypervisor or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You does that sound familiar?
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of the commercial servers, like the one that Rick just mentioned, there's no real operating system on the server. There's just the hypervisor, and it says spin up this copy of Windows, and then this copy of Windows, and this copy of Unix. And when the customer's done with it, it deletes it. So it's all kind of an on-demand Windows operating system. And
I might try that later. A copy of
yeah,
Windows 11.
if you Google
Um,
Windows ISO, you'll get to the Windows 11 download page, and automatically downloaded Windows for you. Yeah, the Windows ISO page you can so
yeah.
you can download a Windows 10 ISO, or you can download a Windows 11 ISO.
What does ISO stand for?
International Standards Organization.
Oh, okay,
It's
like ISO blah 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 for
right, yeah. So it's basically it's an image file. It's like the DMG on.
interesting comment because I had also gone to the App Store thinking that, well, maybe it's right there. You just get it and download it, and there you are. And but fortunately, I read a few of the.
Probably limitations of the way Apple has the App Store. There's certain things that programs can't do at a low level, and it makes sense that a virtual machine running a completely different operating system would be a low enough level to mess up or confuse um, the App Store guidelines.
There are and not the pro version.
That could be right. On the parallel site, I looked at the chart. That the bike didn't kill me, and we'll be good. Thank you for your.
In simulators, it was just easier than boot camp to reboot. So that's your other option. Oh no, it isn't. You've got an Apple Silicon model, don't you? That does
I got a what?
Apple Silicon Mac.
No,
Oh,
my MacBook is Intel i7.
so the other thing you can do is Apple's free boot camp, and you reboot into Windows only, and it acts just like a real Windows PC.
Correct, but I understand that rebooting process takes some time.
Just
Uh,
yeah, the time it normally takes to boot the computer.
when you talk about that, are you talking about, for example, turning on your computer from dead off?
Yes.
I think he should maybe check his plugs, make sure they're securely in tight.
We can't hear you, Steve.
I know, and I just said I'm back online.
Okay.
It loses.
Good thing he's only a room away. I can just yell.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I did go to like Best Buy, and there are cheap Windows computers for around $300, and that was.
Will be doing a lot with your bike, or is it just a one-time setup?
It's a one-time setup if the results are satisfactory. If not, then I've got to go back into it and tweak things again. It's fun. I mean, the good news is that this particular motor company that I bought and installed on the bike is known for your being able to do this with it, whereas other commercially sold e-bikes might be either very difficult or not possible. I don't know.
I go back to the bike store and say, "Hey, I want a bike that's Mac compatible."
Right. Yeah. No, that ain't happening.
Or well, have the bike store.
I did see that. Yeah.
Well, you did see it, yes?
Yes. I
Okay.
saw the Survey Monkey thing. Yeah.
That's
Okay,
the
so
ballot.
that's where you vote.
That's the ballot. Now, if when we get into the business meeting, people want to nominate anybody who's not on the ballot, they can do so, and we'll simply, vote live on it during the meeting. And obviously, anybody who gets like one vote is elected. Now, we could do the thing that we did to somebody a few years ago, where, for example, I would nominate and vote for you, Rick, and you would end up on the board.
You could also use
No,
the
I
blank
get
line
the
to do it.
opportunity to decline.
Be careful what you wish for.
You could also use the blank line on the ballot to write in a candidate.
Yeah, I just wondered how everything was jiving with the bylaws. As long as we're in compliance with that, I'm happy.
We're pretty close, I think.
All right.
Do you know if you got like pretty much ballots from everybody you sent them to or not?
Let me check again. We have 11 votes.
Well, the deal was that they needed to be in before the break during the business meeting. I think we're far enough along now. We're almost an hour into the general meeting. My suggestion is we can just go ahead with the business meeting, and whoever is here and has voted, that'll do it. What do you think, Shirley?
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right, business meeting.
All right. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. The time is 7:56. Is that what it says? 7:56.
Right.
All right. Does anybody need to renew their memberships?
Maybe have a comment on whether we have a quorum, which I believe for a business meeting is 10% of the membership, which I believe we do have.
Right. We only have 18 members. So we have more than half.
I just renewed my membership 20 minutes ago,
Okay.
and there was no place that I could see on that for stipulating who the second member was. I renewed for me and for Carol the $40 for 1 year, but I assume it knows it's me because I'm the one making the payment. But there was no place where it said the second member who it is.
Well, we know it's a joint membership for your family, right?
Yeah,
There,
but that doesn't mean you might know me and Carol, but somebody else might not, and she has a different name, and so on. So it should be on there where when you have a joint membership and you're renewing, you stipulate who the other person is.
there should have been a blank line where that
I didn't.
information was
It may
entered.
have been, but I didn't see it. Anyway, I made the payment, so we're both members.
Okay, Steve, I want to mention that
Yeah, you
I
said
went-
you had an issue too.
I went through the CIDER webpage to it, and we got into paying by credit card through the, I guess it's Square is the software, and I ran into a glitch too. But I figured on bringing that up next week at the board meeting. My membership runs through the 15, so I'm legal tonight.
Yep, you are.
All right, after the quorum, what happens?
Okay.
Renew
So
membership.
everybody has hopefully renewed their membership. Okay, and Steve sent out a ballot by Survey Monkey, which everybody hopefully filled out and returned. Now we had our nominating committee for our board officers and directors, and the people who are up for election are myself as president, vice president for publicity, Kim Leslie, vice president for programs, Ken Schultz, treasurer, quartermaster, Steve Ray, secretary, Charlie Bergener. Board members Bob Hoey and Carol Areno. So those are our candidates. Anybody wish to speak? Who I called their name?
Nope.
Okay. Were there any additional nominations from the floor? Okay, no. All right. So Steve says we've got all our ballots pretty much up to date at the moment. And now I will do my little short president's report as to what we talked about during the year. So we started in April and we had password manager with Apple keychains from Steve and 1Password from Ken and the LastPass fiasco. May, we talked about Chat GPT, Midjourney, DALL-E, and other AI programs. June, we had the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference. July, we had our annual picnic at David Chamberlain's house. August, my phone can do that. September, we talked about new iPhones. October was Adam Engst from Tidbits. November was Chuck Joyner from Mac Voices and new Mac models that came out. December was holiday gift ideas. January was CES 2024. And February was Lyle Teague and Ken for AARP tax aid, and also talking about in a demonstration by Vision Pro and its release. All right, so next we have the treasurer's and quartermaster's report. Steve?
Yeah, I'm just seeing it's gone from my folder. Huh. All right, let me regenerate it. No, update later. Remind me later. CIDER. And we're going to do last year. Okay. All right, and now let me share a window, and it is this window.
Oh,
Alrighty, so for 2023, we brought in about $400. We spent about $600, so we were about $200 down for the year. As expected, our biggest income is on our dues, and our biggest outgo spending normally is on the picnic, but that was the computer depreciation. So our computer is now 3 years old, so and we're on a 5-year depreciation cycle. And then we'll compare that to the year previously, where we brought in about 800 and we spent about 1,000. So we were again about $200 down for the whole year. So we have canceled our insurance since we're not going anywhere anymore. So that saves us the $200 a year. We don't have the meeting facilities rental because we're doing everything virtual. The picnic expense is about our biggest expense. So last year we brought in $460 in dues and $199 in by selling the old computer. Some years we have sales at the picnic, but we haven't been doing that the last couple of years. Let me go back to last year. If anyone has any questions on that. Oh, and our referral fees are gone because Amazon stopped that, both of those programs.
So we're in the hole by $222.49, and you're telling us that that's due to the depreciation on the computer and nothing else. Is that correct?
Mostly. If we take that $400 out, then we only spent $200 for the year, so we'd be 200 positive. Let me see. I should be able to take out the computer payment. Is that? Nope. I'm going to take out the uncategorized. That one. There we are. So once we remove the depreciation, we brought in about 400, we sold about 200, so we're 200 positive for the year. That sounds better.
It does. Okay, so assuming that eventually the computer gets too old, and then what? I think as an organization, we could continue to operate online as we've been doing, but maybe people just end up using their own personal computers, and maybe the club doesn't own one anymore.
Well, I would say we could just keep using the club's computer until it needs to be replaced, which seems like these computers will just be able to keep on going for quite a while.
That sort of leaks into the quartermaster report, but the computer turns 3 in October, and that's when our AppleCare currently expires. And at that time, we can decide to continue the AppleCare to keep the computer covered in case of mechanical failure or accidental damage.
And that would be on a yearly basis or monthly?
Let me look. With the computer, I think it's yearly. I know with the phone, it's monthly. Let's see. Extend your coverage. Is this going to tell me how you can extend it? Purchase within 30 days. So you can do monthly or annually. Likely there's a discount if you do it annually.
And then you just keep on paying yearly until there's a problem.
Right, or until it gets to be too old to do whatever we're trying to do on it. It's an M1 Pro, so I don't expect that to happen for at least 5 years.
All right, so the
And
club may not be here in 5 years, but who knows?
and Apple's typical life cycle schedule, after 5 years, the device is considered vintage, and after 8 years, it's considered obsolete, and parts are often no longer available, although they are keeping batteries around for 10 years.
So I think we have no problem for the future.
Yeah, the foreseeable future.
Well, Steve, let me ask this question, because if you do a yearly AppleCare, and it says you can do it until you cancel,
Yep.
how far will Apple let you keep that AppleCare?
We don't know yet.
Because if something is obsolete,
That's what my guess is, but we don't know because it hasn't come up yet since this program to extend AppleCare has been available.
So I'm sure you would find out about it as time went on.
So the computer that we are hosting the lounge on now, it's a 14-inch M1 Pro from 2021, and whatever presentations we give are generally, when we met in person, were being given on this computer. Now that we're doing virtual, people are either hosting it on their own computer through the lounge software.
So it's not really getting a lot of wear and tear.
Not really, no.
So theoretically, it should last a while.
Yep.
I don't think we need to worry about it at the moment.
Yeah. Did that answer your question, Marty? You had your hand up there for a moment. Oh, I'm not hearing you. But I don't see you muted either. Okay, good. Additionally, well, we should finish treasurer and then move into quartermaster. So any other questions on the treasury?
You have to approve your report or what?
Not at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question. Do we have to have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
No, not that I saw from last time.
Okay.
We have to do it. Well, I don't see anything on there at all.
All right. Well, I mean, the thing is that the same information pretty much gets reviewed at board meetings every month, and
Yeah.
then it's approved. So I'm not too worried about that, I guess.
Nope, because this is just a summary of the whole year. And we approved everything, basically. Okay. All right. Well, now, okay, Steve, you have to do quartermaster.
So in addition to the computer and the computer bag, so graciously donated by Shirley. Oh, we forgot to write that, take that as a write-off on our taxes.
Oh,
I wonder if it would have helped. We end up owing federal taxes this year. We also have the PA system that we currently don't use, and the projector we had last time we tried to use it in person didn't work, so we don't have a projector anymore. We were using the school's projector in the cafeteria for those several years, so I don't think we used our own projector for the last 5 years. And the last time we tried to meet at the church, Rick was gracious enough to run home and grab his projector. Then that's another advantage of not meeting in person is we don't need the projector. Oh, Marty had another question. Do we have any savings? No. The only account we have is in M&T Bank. We do have accounts with Square and PayPal because we have received payments through them. But the money that comes into Square for dues gets transferred into the checking account.
When you think about it, back when Steve Wozniak was here, we had over 150 members.
Yeah, we were over 200 in the very early days.
Yeah.
yep.
All the Apple II people were mad that we wanted to have meetings on this crazy thing called Macintosh. And anytime we bought something for the club, for the Mac, it had to also work on the Apple II too, or at least be relevant to the Apple II.
Yeah, I remember those good old days.
Those were the days. Newsletters and everything. All right. Well then.
I have one more question
Okay.
about
All
the
right.
quartermaster situation.
Mm-hmm.
I am, in my ignorance, assuming that one reason to have a club computer is that a lot of the information relating to the club is stored on it, the financial information and all the rest of it. And so my question is not about when we have to replace the computer, but how is that computer backed up?
It's currently backed up to my time capsule here at the house.
Okay.
And then a lot of the stuff is also synced onto Google Drive, which is another question that's coming up later, right?
Well, if you're talking about me, I was going to bring that up next week.
Some of the reason we have a club computer is that Dave Zebarth and I went to a Apple Users Group national meeting probably 20 years ago, and won a Performa computer. And so that became the club's computer to put all the club stuff on and do all the club presentations from. So we wouldn't have to use our own personal computers. It kind of made a little sense doing it that way.
Thank you for all your reports.
Steve, do we do taxes for the club?
Yes. Oh, I should have reported that as treasurer. We fill out the IRS Form 990N, which basically says, did I do it this year? I probably already did it this year. Basically says that we still exist, and we did not earn more than $20,000. Yeah, Form 990N. No, I have not done it this year yet. I can show you that form. It's quite amusing. All right, window and this form. So do we still exist? Yes. Were our receipts $50,000 or yes or less? No. I'm sorry. So yes, we did not earn more than $50,000. So this is the requirement for our tax-exempt organizations.
Well, we've got some breathing room there. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So we earned $200. So we're shy of the $50,000 limit.
Very shy.
This document's not being recorded on YouTube right now, is it?
This is public knowledge, but I'm pretty sure the YouTube stream is dead.
Okay. Are you done?
Yep.
All right. It says we're supposed to take a break, but we really didn't need it last year, so we're going to skip it.
Really, I would like to take a potty break.
Okay,
Yes, we
but
should take a break.
Yes.
So we'll
All right,
say
but it would only take us 2 minutes to finish the rest of the business meeting, but that's okay. We can take a break. No problem. All right.
8:18.
It's 8:18. Okay, so what time do you want to come back? How long break do you want? 5 minutes?
No, at least
8:30. 8:30.
8:30 sounds good.
All right. We'll
See you
come
then.
back at 8:30 then.
We'll be here.
All right. Whatever.
again?
Why? Why is this over here? There we go.
Closing the door.
Okay, doke.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Doing all right, yeah.
Watch any soccer?
Been watching a lot of soccer. Women's league starts this Friday.
It'll be on what, Ion TV?
I'm unclear. The Friday game is going to be on Prime.
Okay.
And other games are going to be on Paramount Plus, Ion, and NWSL Plus, which I'm not quite sure what that is. And if I'll be able to get it on my TV or if I'll have to watch it on the computer, I'm not sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I got to see Messi play recently. They were in a game. It's some kind of a Champions League. They were playing Nashville, and the game ended up it's a home and away game, match. So they ended up 2-2 in Nashville, and now they got to play back in Miami. But Messi scored, and I don't know if he got the assist on the other goal or not, but it was nice to see him. Oh, I know. Luis Suarez got the other goal. Record. And I just wanted to say, I've always kind of given women's basketball a short shrift because I'm an avid fan of women's soccer. And I know they're good, and I'd like to watch Brittany, the one that was in prison in Russia. I'd like to Griner, yeah. I'd like to see her play now. Clark.
Yeah. Clark is supposed to be just absolutely amazing. She can shoot from anywhere.
In the game, she was the difference. She scored in the end, but in the first half, she was 0 for 10 from long distance. She had a bad start. She scored some points in the first half, but one of her strengths is her long distance shooting, and she didn't. 0 for 10. But then she got them and down the final watch. Oh, by the way, Steve, we're going to be out of town Saturday, so I won't be posting anything.
All right. Let me take it off the website.
I can't hear you.
I'll take it off the website.
Also, when I went, that's where I saw that my membership had said renewal January 15th, 24. I thought I was already paid for longer than that, but so I just went to pay it, and I was going to use PayPal. When I got to the actual paying, I didn't see PayPal as an option. Somewhere I saw that you could use PayPal, some text. But when I got to the actual form, it had my card on file. So I just had to click for that. But I didn't see the PayPal option. And I'm rich this week because I'm old. Every year I have to take out money from my IRA. I had to take out $2,000.
Should go out and
Money I
play.
already had. Money I already had, but now I have it where I can actually, spend it.
Does that mean vacation?
No, life's a vacation anyway. There's we go to the casino on a regular basis every week. And there's one at the blackjack tables. There's one game that's like a progressive thing. You have to put up a $5 bet, and it's lucky sevens. So if I get 2 sevens, I'll win $10. But if I get 2 sevens and the dealer gets a 7, so there's 3 sevens there, then it's thousands of dollars. And if they're all diamonds, because there's 6 decks, so there's 6, 7 of diamonds. If they're all diamonds, then I win the mega prize, which is like 100,000.
So you want to play that?
One time this year.
Okay,
I turned 77. I figure that's the lucky number.
that's right. There you are.
77, and it's all sevens.
Well, good luck.
It'll happen, maybe.
All right, it's look like everybody's back. Are we missing some people?
Well, I see 6, but we got more names on the side.
So supposedly we're missing 5 people.
They don't have their cameras turned on.
Well, there's Linda.
Oh, on 19th, go to Rita's Very Nice free ice cream or gelato.
What are they doing?
Every year they have free gelato on first day of spring.
Oh, very good.
There's one over here near Lac de Ville in that plaza.
Oh, okay.
Right by Wegmar Tops.
I think that's the only one in the city that I'm aware of in the Rochester area.
There used to be one out towards Penfield, but I don't know. That's the one we go to.
Rita's in Penfield. Okay. Bet you that's if that's the only one around. I bet you there's a lot of people.
Yeah, not Penfield, but in Brighton, next
South
to the Tops.
Clinton.
And what's the name of the plaza?
South Clinton Avenue,
What's the name of the plaza there?
Loman's Plaza.
Bowman's. Yeah.
Okay. Will we have snow on that day? Who knows?
I doubt it.
I don't think so.
I don't
I
know.
like
been a
this warm
mild
weather
winter.
that we're getting, but it truly is global warming happening right before our eyes.
Yeah.
All right. Should we restart? Do you think, Charlie? Can't hear
We're
you.
4 minutes late.
We're 4 minutes late.
Charlie's muted. You can't hear me.
8:34 p.m.
Okay. Very good. All right. So we need to now to know the announcement of the election results, Steve.
Let me get that. Oh.
Can't hear you.
It's a close one, Shirley.
I guess so. I was really worried there for a minute.
I'm not hearing any audio. Is there anything being said?
Well, Steve says it's out again. He's working on it.
Oh, okay.
Test, test. There we are. That's working now.
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, let me get back to that window. All right, so we had 11 people respond. Shirley got 11 votes for president, 100% of the responses. Vice president of programming, Ken got 100% of the responses.
Yay, Ken.
Publicity, Kim got 100% of the responses.
Okay.
Secretary, Charlie got 100% of the responses. Me, I got 100% of the responses. And director, Bob got 90% of the responses, and Carol got 100%.
Carol didn't vote for me.
Somebody just forgot to check some off.
I think so.
I voted for you, Bob.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So it looks like everybody who was nominated succeeded.
Yep.
Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you.
People,
Thank you, thank you.
people
It was
spend,
a hard battle, but
We had no negative campaigning, no negative ads.
That's right. Good. Get
people spend an average of 42 seconds to vote.
Oh, my goodness.
Wasn't hard.
that's a long time.
A trivial question I have is, there were not the same numbers of votes for all candidates, but everybody got like, I don't know, 90 or 100%. Does that mean, is that because there were no votes for opponents or something?
Some people skipped questions. So for vice president of programming, 9 people answered and 2 people skipped.
Yeah, and so the thing is that it comes to 100% because it's 100% of anybody who voted in that category.
Right. Of the
very
9
good.
people who voted, they all voted for Ken.
Well, thank you, and congratulations to all of us, lucky dogs.
Yay, another year.
And who are those 2 people that skipped? Don't want to know.
We'll never know.
Don't want to know.
We can know the IP address they came from.
No, that's okay.
Don't want to know.
No, we don't want to know.
Yeah.
Let's leave it a mystery.
Yep.
Well, then it's a secret ballot.
All right. So next is, do we have any old business? Anybody?
I think you need to tell us. You're president.
Yeah, like do we have
I
anything
don't
this year?
think
Or?
we do. I don't see any need for old business, and then there's new business. So we don't have any new business.
It was on the agenda. Was there anything on the agenda?
No.
Nope.
This is also the time that people out in the audience here can bring up new subjects if they want to.
I don't hear anything. All right, so then the last thing is a motion to adjourn our business meeting. So who would like to do that?
I make the motion.
I think Carol had her hand up first, but Charlie said something first.
Whoever said it first can go.
How about Carol? Carol moved. I
Let's have
second.
Carol and Carol.
Yep.
Carol and Carol. Oh,
Carol and
okay.
Carol. Good enough.
All right. So, how many are in favor of a motion to adjourn?
Yeah,
All right.
Aye.
So,
Aye.
we are adjourned at 8:41.
Well, Shirley, thanks for running that meeting.
Thank you.
And did you announce who the winners were?
Everybody won.
Yeah, we went down.
Please say who they all are
As long
again.
as that goes into the official record, we're good.
Oh, yeah. Everybody who ran won. All right, so that's the end of the business meeting.
I just want to find another 20,000 votes.
All right, so I guess what we could go into is you either can do Apple News or Charlie. I think you were waiting for the board meeting next week, right?
Yeah, you took care of my question for this meeting, and
Okay.
my other issues I will talk with the board about. No big deal. I just had a little trouble with Square trying to pay my dues.
Yeah, I just looked at it, and it looks like Square will take Apple Pay, Google Pay, a credit card, and the Cash App.
Yeah, and somewhere in the course of the credit card thing, I ran into a block, and I don't remember clearly what it was because I was also around the same time going to Greenlight and trying to put in a request with them, and I ran into a block on their site too. So I don't know. Don't worry about it now.
And I'm going to see if I can add PayPal to that list.
I was going to say, why isn't PayPal on
Yeah.
that list?
Because they're a competitor of Square. But you could use a PayPal credit card.
Well, what do we care if they're competitors? Can't we use both of them?
Then you have to write new code to send the link to PayPal.
That's easy. You just set up a PayPal button.
Yeah, you did that code for us last time with the Square buttons. All right, shall we move into new computers?
Sure.
The only problem is every time you talk about something new, it makes me want a new thing. You know?
Yep. So, as rumored, Apple came out with the M3 MacBook Air in both 13-inch and 15-inch. They dropped the M2 MacBook Air down to the $999 price range, replacing the M1 Air. And the 15-inch M2 Air has been discontinued. And I forgot to look that up. Someone said, I'm looking for it now. It broke a record for the shortest product life. So the 15-inch M2 came out in June of 23, and now it's discontinued in March of 24. Same colors available. And so the M2 model is $999. So now the M3 is $1099. So that also means that all the M2 models we have in stock at Mac Ave have dropped in price. And then where are we? I got to move down farther. With 256 storage, it's $1099, and then 512 storage, 1 terabyte storage. You can go higher. Let's see, the same display. Almost everything is the same as before, except it's the M3 instead of the M2. One of the big differences is that you can now you can now turn off the internal display and run 2 external displays. You can either run one 6K or you can run 2 5Ks or lower. So that's a big deal for the MacBook Air, and any of the M1, M2, M3 plain chips. So even the M3 MacBook Pro, we'll get to in a moment, could only run 2 screens total. So one internal screen and one external screen. And so now by shutting the lid, you can get a second external screen. And a lot of people really like having a 2-screen display option and 2 big screens.
If you do that, does that mean if you're trying to do anything with like a keyboard on one of your external screens, you
external keyboards and mouse.
Yeah.
What was the answer?
You have an external keyboard and mouse, either USB or Bluetooth.
Oh.
So you've been able to do lid closed for a while on the laptops, but the low-end models, the plain M series, could only ever do one external display. So you had to go to the M2 Pro to do 2 external displays. So now this is new on the M3. You can have 2 external displays if you close the lid to shut off your internal display. Let's see, that's all the same. They went up to Wi-Fi AX is the same, so that's all the same. So let me go up to the compare button here. And so the M2 13-inch Air is now in the product line at $999. And I don't want that one, I wanted this one. The M3 Air at $1099. And now the 14-inch M3 Pro is $1599. So that goes from the 13.6 inch screen to a 14.2 inch XDR screen. So we were a little surprised on the 14-inch had an M3, because in the M1s and M2s it was only a Pro and a Max. It never had the M1 only. So now the 14-inch M3 only. So you can get that bigger screen. Same CPU. The funny thing is, it's the same M processor. So the M3 is about 15 to 20% faster than the M2. Same 24 gigs of RAM, same 2 terabyte max storage. The 14-inch, since it has a larger, physically larger battery, has more battery life available to it. Pretty much the same chip. 4 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores, 10 GPU cores, 16 neural cores. Let's see, there was one difference here. Video decode, video encode, ProRes. Oh, AV1. So the M3 adds the AV1 decode engine, which is Google's video format. So if you're in Chrome watching video, then it uses AV1. 24 gigs of RAM max, 2 terabyte max. The 14-inch still has a better screen. In addition to being half an inch bigger, it's a mini LED backlight, and it's an XDR, and it's twice the brightness. So that extra, what was it? $1099 to extra $500 is getting you that Pro model. The Pro also has a fan in it, so it doesn't run into thermal issues as quickly. And the big limitation in the Air is the connectivity. It's only got 2 ports, and so that's fine for most regular people. But excuse me, the Pro line having those 2 ports and the HDMI port, so that saves one of your ports, and an SD card slot, so that saves one of your ports. So quite frequently, those are things you'd have to plug into one of the ports you got. So that gives you more ports. And then when you go to the M3 Pro or M3 Max, you get a 3rd Thunderbolt port as well. The other difference in the Pro and the Max is back up here. You can go to 8 terabytes of storage and 128 gigabytes of RAM. So those are the maximum values for very high-end, usually video work or things like that. So one thing we always love doing. So if we go with the new 13-inch, and let's start there. So 512 storage, 512 storage, 16 RAM. So if we bump up the RAM, we go to the 2 terabytes. We go to so this is interesting. It comes with a 35 watt USB charger, but it has 2 ports, so you can charge your phone and your computer at the same time. Or you can get a 70 watt charger to do the computer faster. So that's 2300 maxed out on the 13-inch. Or we go back and look at the 15-inch. Again, we can go to 24 RAM and 2 terabyte and the 70. So we're at 25. So that $300 difference between them. So it's interesting now, you have a choice between a 15-inch M3 or the 14-inch M3. Wrong button, we want to shop and buy. Oh, come on, buy. So in the M3 on the 14-inch, you can go to higher RAM and higher storage. No, I'm sorry, because I'm still on the M3. We have to go to M3 Pro to get the higher options. So it has a 3-channel bus, so it goes to 18 gigs maximum. On the Pro, 36 gigs. Yeah, 36 gigs on the Pro, 128 gigs on the Max. And then 4 terabytes on the Pro or 8 terabytes on the Max. So if you really want that Max, everything maxed out. Let's see, Max, let's max it all out. We're at, $7 grand. So the 8 terabyte drive is over $2,000 by itself. One of the things to remember is that these are a single chip, system on a chip. So the CPU, the GPU, the memory, the storage, the neural engine, everything is on a single chip. So making a single chip with all this extra stuff on it is even more expensive.
Steve,
Yep.
I have a question. You look at the prices for the increased storage on these things, and I just bought a SanDisk external SSD on sale, but its original price was around $400 for a 4 terabyte.
Yep.
It seems to me like the storage in Max is a lot more expensive than that.
Because it's built onto that single chip. So the 2 terabyte isn't that big of relatively isn't that big of an update. But then going to 4 and going to 8 is even more. So there is an advantage to getting that external drive, which would give you more capacity. Do you remember if that was USB or Thunderbolt?
It's USB-C, I believe.
Yeah. So the internal drive on the SoC is going to be significantly faster than an external drive.
Okay.
And then a Thunderbolt drive will be a lot faster than a USB drive.
Right.
So for the people that need that amount of storage, especially when you're in video editing, you're going to also want speed. And but the price difference between an SSD and a spinning drive is getting to be quite a bit farther down. We got a 4 terabyte spinning drive for our customer, and it was $100. So even the, your 4 terabyte SSD for 400 is quite a bit more.
Amazing.
I've got a sort of tangential question here. If you have a spinning hard drive and you partition it, does that mean that your two volumes, let's say, are in physically different locations on the disk?
Probably not.
Okay.
The physical distinction and the logical distinction don't usually don't match.
Okay, that's fine, because the way you described SSDs is that they store stuff sort of all over the place to minimize the wear and tear on individual cells.
Right.
And it sounds like the spinning hard disks might do something along that line too.
And with SSDs, reading each sector anywhere on the disk it is the same speed because it's a electronic access. But
Right.
with a spinning hard drive, tracks that are on the outside layer of the disk are moving linearly faster than the inside ring of the disk.
Right.
Steve Gibson at GRC just recently released a program called Read Speed that will test your speeds, and it's interesting that the inner tracks can be about half the speed of the outer tracks.
Huh.
And so here's an OWC this one's physically small to get that 4 terabytes. If you want a bigger drive, then you can get larger capacity. So here's a
What was their price for the 4 terabyte?
$450
Okay.
with USB. So here's an 8-bay Thunderbolt. What can we configure it at? Where's the maximum? I'm gonna go maximum. 8 drives. So 4 SSDs or 7 HDDs. That's interesting configuration. So some of it is, do you want speed or do you want capacity? And if you want both, that's the most expensive. Then you would go with all SSDs. Gallery, where do we configure how many drives I want in it? No, you don't. Or maybe it's this thing here. Do I click here? No. This comes with 0 drives, so you add whatever you want in it. So you can have huge amounts of external speed. And this would mostly be for someone doing the next Transformers movie.
I think you mean storage.
Storage, yes. Thank you. So here's one with only 4 bays, so it's not quite as expensive. The one thing about OWC is that they're a very Mac-friendly company. And most of their drives come pre-formatted for Mac, and typically end up working a little better with a Mac. Not that there's anything wrong with buying a raw drive and then formatting it for Mac. So this one,
I've used OWC. I've never had any complaints about them. They've been a good company.
yep. There's a 40 terabyte drive for only $1,000. One of the ways to get around the problem of only 2 ports on your MacBook Air is to get a 14-port Thunderbolt dock. So you get many, many more ports. plus charging. Let's see if we can see what all the ports are.
It must run kind of hot.
Probably if you have everything plugged in. 2 Thunderbolt, 5 USB A's, 1 USB C. So 3 monitors. Do they have a picture? And the picture doesn't show all the ports. Let's try this one. Doesn't want to go bigger. So micro SD card, audio in and out, USB A 3.1, USB C 3.1. That's the front. What's on the back? 4 more USB A's. Oh, SPDIF. So, you know, high-end audio production. The Sony Panasonic digital interface. Ethernet.
That was that was $99 last week. I picked one up.
Really?
Yep, I've got it.
So they say the retail price is $279 and it's now on sale for $149.
Yeah, well, it was $99 last week.
$129.
I don't know what I'm going to. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but frankly, at $99, I'll pay for it.
Yeah, most of the time these Thunderbolt docks have been in the $300 range. And so, most people, USB is fast enough. They don't need double the cost for Thunderbolt. So theoretically, Thunderbolt can do 40 gigabit bidirectionally. So 40 gigabyte read, 40 gigabyte write, so 80 gigabytes overall. USB 3 is only 10 gigabits, gigabits, sorry. So Thunderbolt is 4 times faster in each direction. So that's why it's mostly targeted at video and audio producers who need the extra speed. If you're just using a backup drive, you know, a USB spinning disk is still the cheapest you're going to get, and that's fine for backup because it doesn't matter how long it takes. The first backup you're going to let it run overnight, and then after that it will be quick. Interesting. So the 14-port one is on sale for $150, and the 11-port one is still $229. Here's another 14-port that's normally $3 something. $350 for that one. How do you? You'd have to really go in and look at what each model and what each port gives you. I hate when companies sell products that are so similar to each other. So what's the difference between this 14-port one and this 14-port one?
It might be the Thunderbolt link. Mine is a Thunderbolt 3 dock.
Yeah, the Thunderbolt 3 is cheaper than the Thunderbolt 2. That doesn't make any sense.
Which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a defect in the one, which is why it's discounted.
Well, it's an older model. And this is Thunderbolt 3 also, Type C. Thunderbolt 2. It doesn't have a Thunderbolt 2 port on it. It's only Thunderbolt 3. Oh, I bet the cable is Thunderbolt 2. No, it comes with a 2 to 3 adapter. So it comes with a $20 adapter. Yeah. So as I said, I hate companies that make things that are so similar, but it's got to be hard for them making things that are so similar and have such a similar spec and a similar price. It's more of them to decide how many of each do you think you're going to sell. So what has not been updated yet to M3 is the Mac Mini the Mac Studio, and the Mac Pro. So those are still only M2 models. But most of the rumors are saying we won't see those until at least June and WWDC. The next thing we'll likely see is an iPad Pro with the M3. Right now it's only M2. So if we go, let's see, compare. So the iPad Pro is an M3, or M2. The iPad Air is an M1, and the 10th gen is an A14. So basically A14, A15, A16. So the next generation of Pro will get the M3, and then the Air will get the M2, and maybe the 11th gen will get the M1. But there's a lot of confusion over 3 models that are almost exactly the same size. Each model up has a little bit better screen, but not enough to notice unless you've got them side by side. The processors are very similar. The Pro does have a better camera. The Pro has Thunderbolt versus USB-C. Now the Pro has Face ID. So there are differences between them, but for the person looking, which one should I buy? 450, 600, or 800. What's in your budget? And then if you're looking for cheap, then you go with the 9th gen, which is $329, which for the average user, that's all they need. And even that one is 10.2 inches. You'd be hard pressed to tell the difference between 10.2 and 10.9. Even though the 10.9 is a better screen. You can't tell the difference unless you're looking at them side by side. So some of the rumors are that there's going to be a 14-inch Pro. We don't know if it's going to replace the 12.9 or if they're going to add the 14-inch to the product line. Because the 12.9 is already really big. A lot of people that buy the 12.9 almost, well, they don't carry it around as much as the smaller ones.
Well, they're heavy.
Because it is so heavy, yeah. Yeah, I had a 12.9 I was playing with for a while, and it was just so heavy. And then by the time you add the keyboard cover, it weighed more than the laptop, and could cost more than the laptop too.
Are they going to bring out a new Mac Mini, or excuse me, a new iPad Mini?
Eventually. So say we get a 1 terabyte iPad Pro, we're looking at $1,800. So you're already competing against a 14-inch Mac Pro. Let's go back to iPad Compare a minute. So if we put the Mac Mini in, that's using the A15 processor. So the Mac Mini has a better chip than the 10th generation, which only has an A14. So let's put this in here. And the Mac Mini has a flash. The 10th gen has a landscape camera. We're expecting all of the models to go to landscape cameras because most people use their iPads in landscape mode. So the iPad Mini with A15, is that going to get an M1? Because that's the next step. To make it even more confusing. But the iPad Mini costs more than the 9th gen. But the 9th gen still has the 13 processor. So do you want a faster processor, or do you want a bigger screen? The iPad Mini, a lot of people like it because it is so small. That's what Shirley likes. It's small and easy to fit in your purse.
And it's so much lighter than a regular iPad.
Yeah. Let's see if we go down here farther. There'll be weight. 0.65 pounds versus 1.0 pounds. So it's almost double the weight from the 6th gen to the 9th gen. And almost triple the weight to the high-end Pro. So rumors. But it's kind of expected because we've got the M1, then the M2, then the M3. So obviously the products are going to get updated. Although that's what we thought about the iMac. So the iMac came out with an M1. They skipped the M2 and went right with the M3. So maybe the Mac Mini might skip an M3 and go to M4. Maybe the Mac Studio. So now the tricky thing is the Mac Studio and the Mac Pro are technically now slower, especially at the base model. They're slower than the M3 computers, but they have the potential to run even faster because of the added capabilities of the Max and Ultra chips. So it's a very confusing to decide which Mac to buy. You almost have to start with how much do you want to spend and then look at it that way. And if you have the budget for a Pro machine, if you know you're doing Pro things, multi-track audio editing, video editing, 3D modeling, CAD, that's where the Pro comes in handy. We really like the idea of the 15-inch Air, so you have a relatively inexpensive computer that's still really fast with that M3 processor without going to the expense of the Pro. So a lot of people like the big screen at a lower price. But we're back to the point where we're kind of Apple where Apple was before Steve Jobs came back and canceled everything and said we're going to have consumer and Pro, desktop and laptop. We're going to have 4 products. But then
and now the product line is all over the place again.
But then each of those 4 products had 3 configurations, good, better, best. And then custom configurations, so there were still hundreds of possibilities. But having 3 iPads that are 11-inch is very confusing.
Okay, were you supposed to be talking about the Apple Watch? Was that on the agenda from last week about the blood O2 monitor? I was looking in Charlie's notes to see.
That hasn't changed since last month.
Okay, so that might have been just nothing when I looked at it, but it looked like it was on the agenda, so I wasn't sure.
The lawsuit is ongoing, and it seems to come again and comes and goes and comes and goes. So they had to stop selling the watch after losing a patent case. Then they could temporarily start it again. Let's see.
So it's all unresolved at the moment.
Yep.
All right.
There's an article from February. Let's see what it says. Federal Appeals Court dismissed the lawsuit. So the lower court ruling stands. So yeah, we don't know. So don't let that hold you off buying a Apple Watch. That the blood oxygen sensor may not work in the future. Someone's going to pay somebody a ton of money, and it will come back. Either Apple will pay for a licensing fee, or they'll figure out some way around the patent.
Or wait till 2028.
When the patent expires?
I think so.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something today that said either by court action that could get back immediately, if they win, or they settle, or until 2028.
Yeah. So I've got a question for Marty. It's been a month now. How's the Apple Vision, and are you still using it?
Yeah, I'm still using it. I'm trying to put it into a workflow so I can use it for parts of what I do during the day. Right now, I'm sort of using it in the morning to organize my email, to organize what work I'm going to get done. One of my big frustrations was OmniFocus came out with version 4 on all devices except the Vision Pro.
Yeah.
And so when Ken Case was talking about it on Mastodon, how, these are all great, I shot him a direct message and I said, I just got a Vision Pro. I would like to have it so I could put it in my workflow. And, I didn't hear for like a day or two. And then he sent me an invite to the test, to the test version of it. So I'm now running OmniFocus 4 in test flight on my Vision Pro. So that helps with my workflow. I do email, can do schedules, can organize that, and then I put the thing down. I mean, I'm playing some spatial games. So break in the middle of the day, I'll go down and I'll play with Lumi and do all sorts of. It's a game where they give you a diorama and the pieces come down and you place those in. There's some music playing in the background. It's kind of a nice little concentration game. I'll look at some YouTube on it. I'm not sitting for 2 hours and watching a movie on it because I don't have 2 hours to spare. That'll come handy when I fly, when the plane takes me somewhere. And so, yeah, I'm still using it. I'm really pressing myself to figure out how to move into the workflow with it. And I'm just taking small steps to get to it. And then in the evening, I turn it on and kind of clean things up and maybe do a little bit more in terms of gaming with it as a kind of wind down at the end of the day. So, yeah, I'm still using it. And we'll see what happens.
It struck me as a product in search of a solution. It's this great new concept called spatial computing, but what exactly is it?
Yeah, I was taking a nap, and of course, just before I take a nap, this great idea popped into my head on how I could use it. And now I've forgotten it, now that I woke up. But it was the idea of laying windows out in a space and then giving it to a guest, having them put it on, and being able to walk around and look at information that's part of the spatial environment. So, I'm still coming up with techniques or things that I can do it with. I actually offered to do a presentation on that at MacStock this summer. And Mike Potter is not sold on the idea, so I'm doing some other things there at MacStock on his behalf. But he was like, "Oh, it's just kind of a niche product, and not everybody coming there will have one, and I don't know how interested they are." And I disagree with him on that, but it's his gig. So I'm doing some other stuff on AI and a talk that I'm trying to put together that is temporarily titled. You know how to use Google, right? It's for all of the people who generally come to that conference that are burdened by their friends, relatives, and coworkers on how to fix their computer.
Let me Google
And
that
the
for
idea,
you.
yeah, and the idea that I have is I'm going to try and put together a step-by-step strategy that you can give them and say, here. And then I'll talk a little bit about self-efficacy and agency, because my area is psychology and counseling. So that's what I'm putting together for a session, and then I'm doing, I think, 2 hours on AI as a workshop. So
Cool.
But anyways, yeah, I'm still using a headset. I'll probably take it with me to this summer and maybe do my whole talk with it on, just to provoke people. But we'll see.
I still want to see what the Apple Vision non-Pro is going to be.
Well, I would say, according to Ming Kuo, you need probably another 4 years to wait for that.
Yep. Well, that leaving Windows behind was one of the complaints that Jason Snell had. That he said he tried to open settings and oh yeah, I left that in the kitchen, and there was no gather Windows together command yet, but that's an easy fix in the software.
Yeah, we're on 1.1 right now, and they've done some improvements. So think of it; it's been out a month, maybe.
Yep.
And they've already done their first major update on software.
Yeah.
I anticipate WWDC will bring 2.0.
Yeah. It took the watch a couple of years to really fall
Find
into its stride,
Right.
pun intended, becoming a fitness watch.
Right. Yeah. So I'm still doing that. I sold back my M2 14 MacBook Air or 15 MacBook Air because frankly it was too big for me to carry it around. And I went with the smaller form factor, the 13-inch M3, and we'll use it. I mean, I can slip it in my bag, and this will be the computer that I take back and forth to work. Because I'm not going to be doing any massive video editing there. I'll be doing it here anyways. So.
Yep. Cool. All right. Nice. Well, anyone else have any other newsy type things, or any other Q&A?
I do have a question for you.
Sure.
My sister gave me her 2013 27-inch iMac. It's a Fusion drive. Number one, do I have to do, if I take out the HDD in it, do I have to do anything other than just reformatting the SSD that's in there?
If you want it to be two separate drives, you don't have to do anything special. That just shows up as two separate drives.
Okay.
If you want to rebuild the Fusion drive, you do that in the terminal while you're booted from recovery.
Yeah, I'm just going to put another SSD in there.
Yeah, most of the time the Fusion drive is either, on the smaller machines it was the 32 gig SSD, and on the bigger machines it was a 128 gig SSD, which is almost insignificant these days. So what we've been doing for customers, I just put a 4 terabyte drive into an iMac. That way we formatted the 4 terabytes, and I left the 128 gig drive unformatted, partly because a lot of people get confused by having two drives.
Right.
And 128 gigs extra doesn't really gain you anything.
Right. And the other thing is, if I put an SSD in there, OWC has
The adaptive drive.
Well, I have the adaptive drive, but do you need the thermal sensor with the SSD?
Well, depends on the year. It was the 2009s and 10s, I think, that needed the sensor. But there's also software you can get. There's a program called SSD Fan Control.
Okay.
That doesn't require the new sensor.
Okay, so I can just get the SSD and that's it.
Yep.
I don't need the. Okay,
Yeah.
that saves me some money.
And it's usually easiest to leave the Apple stock SSD because it's on the back side of the logic board, so it's an extra
Right.
pain to pull out.
Right.
They can't make anything easy.
Well,
Well, at
my
least-
sister got a new iMac, and she got this dock that you put on. Sits on top of the iMac sits on top of the dock, and you can put the SSD stick in there for let's say for a backup.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about taking that out of the iMac and putting it in there. I think that would probably work, but
It's a custom blade. It's not a standard SATA drive. the SSD in a Fusion Drive machine.
Yeah, it's one of the blade drives.
Yeah.
It's
And each,
very deep in there.
yep. But
And
each of your computer had a different blade slot.
okay. So it may not work in that uh, docking station.
Yeah. Whose docking station was it? Do you remember?
No, you sit the iMac and it has like it sits right in there in the dock, and the dock, all the ports come out to the right side rather than the back. And I forgot, it may be a Chinese company, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the dock is pretty nice because, you know, everything is right there on the side, not on the back of the computer.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the docks I know of are they look like hard drive boxes, and you plug the cable in and it sits next to the computer.
Right.
Interesting. We did have there's a company that sells a shelf that we sold a lot that hangs on the back of the iMac foot, and then you can stack your backup drives on that shelf and
Right.
But I haven't seen a dock that you sit the iMac on yet.
Yeah, it does. It's a nice job. I forgot the name of it, but
There's always so many cool products out. Oh, here I found a picture of one. XDA. The Hyperdrive iMac turntable dock. Oh, it's got a Lazy Susan built into it too. So you can swivel your Mac 360 degrees.
yeah. I think
You could play Wheel of Fortune with it.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. I was looking. I don't see it on Amazon, but it's a yeah.
There's one from Initech.
Show us your screen, Steve, so that we can see what's going on.
That's right. Let me Google that for you. Window. Initech.
Okay, I think I found it. Found it.
Yeah.
It's Mini Sapuru. It's called Mini Sapuru.
SUPARU?
URU. SO. It's one word. It's a Mini SOPURU.
All right, so they sell regular docking stations too.
Yeah, that's not it.
Oh no, here's the one that the Mac sits on.
Yes. Yeah. And it sits right inside, so there's a lip that it goes on that sits right inside it.
That's neat. Oh, and it comes in different colors, so you can color code to your Mac.
Yep.
Yeah, there's the shelf-looking thing that we had for the old iMacs. It doesn't fit on the 24-inch iMacs as well. So let's see. How do I get a bigger picture? So two USB-A 2.0s, interesting. USB-C 3, USB-A 3, SD card, and a TF card. What's a TF card? And an M.2 NVMe slot. Yeah, I don't think any of the iMac SSDs were M.2 because I had to get an M.2 adapter
Right.
to copy a drive.
Is TF tiny format?
Well, usually that's mini SD.
Mini and maybe mini and micro.
Yeah, they call it TF.
Yeah. Okay, so the micro, you
TF
need
slot.
an adapter. You need an adapter for the
Yeah.
micro.
Nope. TF slot. What is a TF card and how does it differ from a micro SD? Transflash. In 2004. Oh, micro SD are Transflash under a different name. So depending on what manufacturer you buy them from.
So it's the same thing but a different name?
Yeah. Looks like it. It was Motorola and where did I see it? SanDisk came up with Transflash. And then other companies used the same technology but called it micro SD. Probably so they didn't have to pay royalty fees. Alrighty, any other questions?
All right, well,
Oh, I do have one.
okay.
I experienced an issue where after I did an upgrade, no, an update, I guess it was an update, there was a message in one of my security approval type things, and it said there's this app that wants to be approved, and it said it was blocked. And the only option I had on it was to say approve, but I didn't want to say that because it was a Chinese name that I didn't trust.
Google it and see what it really is.
Well, I tried to do that, and that was not clear, but it was definitely a Chinese company doing something or other.
Some application you installed also installed this thing.
But I never approved access for it, and then later on, it just kind of went away.
I think eventually it stops asking you to approve it if you don't approve it.
Oh, okay, good.
Do you remember what the name of it
It had
was?
me worried.
Do you remember what the name of it was?
I think I took a screenshot of it. I could probably send that to you later.
So here's a 4 terabyte SATA drive or a 2 terabyte blade drive for an iMac. So 2013 to 2019, you all use the same connector. So one of the things I like on the OWD site, you can see what model computers used the same connectors. Bless you. Doesn't tell you what the name of that connector is, but at least you know that the late 2013 and on used the same connector. Yeah, so what Apple has added is more security around kernel extension. See if I can bring up a picture of it. Yeah. So when you first install it, you should get a message like this saying who it was installed by. And then when you go to your security preferences, you can enable that preference. So if you do need to enable whatever that third-party program you just installed was. And the one thing I've started seeing is every time you plug a drive in, you get a request to approve that drive. Is it okay if I plug this drive in? Sure, yeah, go ahead. So what it messes us up when we're testing, because we'll plug an Ethernet adapter into a computer to connect it to our test bench, but then we have to allow the Ethernet connector to be used before it will be available to test. Makes it very annoying. Rick, what you may want to do, you can go into your folder, System Library Extensions and Library Extensions to find that third-party extension and physically delete it. After it stops nagging at you, it's probably still there, but it won't actually install.
Okay. A good idea.
Alrighty, anything else?
All right, well then let's officially end this meeting. It's 9:37. And everybody can still chat if they want.
I think we've chatted enough.
Yep.
Wave to the camera and we'll stop streaming.